So, hello, Cowboy Jim here. I hope I wasn't too hard on that RCMP officer down there. I don't think I was in Ottawa. I never saw much value in beating on a person who's already submitted as that truck driver who climbed out of his truck, got down on his knees, put his hands behind his head. Two officers were arresting him, and the police officer kicked him, kneed him. Same thing. Well, pretty close. Without cause. Without cause. Boy. So, 2 days ago, Trudeau called for a vote on the Emergencies Measures Act, whatever it's called. And he said it was absolutely necessary. So necessary, in fact, that Trudeau did what is called a whip vote. That means, and it was kind of a surprise for me, that means every member of his party were forced to vote with him in accepting, implementing the war, or it actually was apparently the War Measures Act that had been changed to the Emergencies Act. Okay. So he forced the Liberals, every one of them, to vote with him in favor of that Emergencies Act. He also then made real good and certain that the NDP realized you're going to vote with Trudeau or Trudeau was going to call an election. And the last thing you would want were you a backbencher in the Liberal Party or one of the 25 members of the NDP, the last thing you would have wanted for Trudeau ever to do was to call an election because of the behavior of those self-same Liberal backbenchers and also the NDP. You see, this has been, for me, quite a remarkable thing. This has been a light being shown on our government, on the Prime Minister, the head of our government, because Trudeau is now known in many countries of the world for what some people have expected from him, and that is wealth and privilege. And if you were brought up with wealth and privilege, you demand everyone beneath you to be subservient to you. Now, the last thing you'll ever get from a leader who suffers from narcissism is an admission that he was wrong. So Trudeau is not wrong. I mean, if he were wrong, well, he may well have mentioned it, but he didn't. Okay. Solomon, CTV reporter, interviewer, good guy. I truly believe he's a good guy. He insisted on asking the NDP at least 3 times if on Monday it was worth Trudeau possibly calling an election if his Emergencies Act was not implemented. And 2 days later, not a blessed thing has happened that is different. But now Trudeau has eliminated set aside the Emergencies Act. The NDP, I truly don't understand. I guess if you don't want to answer the question that you're asked, you learn how to throw up a bunch of smoke and mirrors so that you don't have to answer it. But I'm very curious why the NDP would vote with Trudeau. Yes, the fear of an election, and would the NDP lose half their seats? Well, probably 3/4 of their seats. And the Liberal backbenchers who just kind of flowed along with Trudeau, even when he is so blatantly, arrogantly wrong as he was with the Canadian truckers. I truly hope that we would get a chance to vote pretty soon. But evidently that's not happening. And that's okay, because I believe that the Canadian middle class, lower class, I don't know any lower class. I have some real good friends who live on the street, actually. The middle class and everybody else, except the upper class. Because what they are experiencing is nothing compared to the decision making that is being made by our government for truckers. Necessary. I mean, in the mine, running a haul truck, I was considered an essential service. I got a little thing on my phone and it says essential services. There is an essential service, or let me word that in a different way. There is a service, and it is not essential. And that is a service that I was going to say Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Well, I'll lump him in the same group as Justin Trudeau. The service from those two people, the dad so many years ago, not his dad, I doubt, and the most racist, arrogant prime minister I've ever seen, Justin Trudeau. Their service, it's surely not essential, and it surely is not necessary, and it surely amounts to nothing. Just saying. So, if on Monday the Emergencies Act were absolutely necessary for the rest of the country, not just Ottawa, for the rest of the country, 10 days ago, Trudeau invoked it. He said it was for the border crossings. He said Coots wouldn't have gotten settled as quickly as it did without the Emergencies Act. I was there in Coots. It got settled. Didn't require the Emergencies Act. And I'll tell you why it got settled. Because those infiltrators who had planned, apparently, I don't know, it's kind of what you hear, their intent was to do injury to the RCMP. And the truckers, who were true truckers, and the supporters of those true truckers, they're peaceful. They love Canada. I don't know if in the next year, and I'm going to ask, I want to find out, is there one person in Canada who believes that what Trudeau did was righteous to do with the truckers when he himself would not even meet with them. Would not meet with them. I was really upset with that RCMP officer that put the knee to that truck driver on the video that I saw today. I was really upset. But I am equally upset with Trudeau for trying to play us Canadians who just want freedom of choice. And it is such a joke. All the countries, the provinces, who have decided to eliminate every mandate, they base their decisions on data that they believe they see. I believe that they're seeing correct data as well. How hard would it have been on Trudeau's pride to man up and meet with the truckers? Now, they say the bank accounts are being unfrozen and all that stuff. Sure. I have not heard the government say that they are not going to sell the truckers' source of incomes who were protesting and their trucks were towed. Some 57 vehicles or something were towed. 171 people charged. We are going to see what the government really thinks of us as truckers protesting anything, and or any Canadian who protests about anything. Because if the Prime Minister can power trip, threaten to call it an election, and down deep in his heart, that twit really didn't want an election either. What he wanted was Parliament to acquiesce to his wishes. Moreover, his mandate. Plural. I am saying that I believe the Conservatives did a better job of representing truckers, the Freedom Convoy, and the number of Canadians who just say this: we want to go back to normal. You have irritated us too long, and that's coming to an end. And listen, people, that's our right. So, it's going to be very interesting. The little leech lady, she may have to serve up to 2 years in jail. Trudeau should serve 22 years in jail for his stupidity on how he handled this stuff. Could have talked to them. Children, God bless. I am thrilled that so far, no trucker, no real trucker, no blue-collar worker has stepped beyond the law, nor twisted the law, nor injured anyone, really. Not like that RCMP officer that when that man who willingly got out of his truck, got down on his knees, put his hands above his head, 2 officers were arresting him, putting handcuffs on or whatever, the plastic funny strips. And that man, that RCMP officer that should be investigated, and I surely do hope prosecuted, beat on that man. Well, Trudeau has beaten on the Canadian citizens as well. It's not right. And it's not right. And Trudeau says now we have a lot of healing to do. Well, he could really help the healing if he just blessed resigned. He could, if it mattered. And trust me, children, a politician, our healing, your healing, they don't give a rat's ass about you. They care only about themselves and getting reelected. It's a fact. So, hey, God bless, hey. God bless. No one was killed. I pray that continues to be the case. Cowboy Jim over in a God bless, hey.